How to argue with a cat. Chapter 2 Pounce like a predator. The art of stalking. Learn persuasion's timing secret. What does waiting have to do with argument? A lot. Too often in a dispute, we chase after arguments like silly dogs. We trip over each other, barking and getting angry. We nip at each other without pinning any argument down. We attack each other and lose our way and pretty much look like idiots. Instead, we should argue like a real predator, such as a cat. This will take some work and patience because humans lack an important physical trait. Unlike cats, we have eyes that see all over the place. Our peripheral vision constantly distracts us. Laugh all you want at those videos that show cats' heads bobbing in unison. They are behaving like predators. A predator tracks its prey with its whole body. Cats are like police who look wherever their pistol is pointing, aiming their bodies the way they aim their guns. Everything a cat sees looks like a target. In an argument with human or cat, we need to practice the same laser focus. When you find yourself in a disagreement, set your target. Decide what your goal is, what you want to aim at achieving. Rhetoric teaches 3 basic goals of persuasion. They range from easy to hard. Number 1, change the mood. This is the easiest goal to achieve. If your opponent is a bit grouchy, then a favorite song or a glass of wine or a snout full of catnip will often do the job. If your opponent is angry, you may just want to wait until the mood passes. Or you can sympathize, say you feel bad about what happened and offer to fix the problem. With a cat, you can usually skip the apology and go straight to fixing the problem. That's because a cat is more sensible. One who finds a strange cat in her litter box will quickly calm down if you remove the intruder. That second cat might resent being removed in the middle of doing its business, but that's a different problem. We'll get to other ways to handle emotions in a later chapter. Meanwhile, just know that changing the mood in the room can be one big goal of an argument. You're not trying to win anything. You don't want to dominate your opponent and prove you're the alpha. Just put your opponent in a happy, calm state. But suppose you want to get something more out of the argument. Suppose you want to change your opponent's mind about something. It's still good to work on our mood first. Now you're ready for goal number 2. Change his mind. This is much more difficult than changing the mood. It is fairly easy to cheer up a grouchy grandmother. Getting her to think differently about hip-hop? Probably a lot harder. Getting someone excited about an election? Quite possible. Getting him to change his mind and vote for your favorite candidate? Much harder. Naturally, this is true of cats as well. Try convincing a cat who grew up without dogs that dogs are man's best friend. Now, try convincing the same cat that she should make friends with a dog. Yes, it's possible, but you're probably not going to achieve that goal in a single argument. In this book, you'll find a number of tools that will help change someone's mind. Still, it takes practice, but there's an even more challenging goal. Number 3, change his willingness to do something. You can get an apathetic older brother excited about the election. Maybe you can change his mind about a candidate. Now, try getting him to go to the polls on election day and actually vote for that candidate. If you succeed, you win the grand prize of persuasion. You have persuaded someone to take an action. Getting someone to stop taking an action can be just as hard. Most cats reasonably expect that the kitchen counter is part of their territory. A roasted chicken cooling on top of that counter lies within cat territory. Therefore, it is reasonable to assume that the chicken is there for the cat, and possibly for humans as well if the cat is feeling generous. You can understand why it's hard to keep a cat from jumping on top of the counter, especially if you insist on putting chicken on it. First, you have to change the cat's mood. You could get him to decide he's not hungry. A treat might do the job. Or you could get him to fear the counter, a crude and unpleasant form of persuasion we do not recommend. Or you could put the chicken into the refrigerator and run to get a favorite toy. Not all cats are so easily distracted, but yours might be. Next, you change the cat's mind. Get him to decide he doesn't like chicken. Good luck with that. Maybe you could coat something disgusting over the chicken. Peanut butter? But that might change your own mind about eating chicken. Sometimes you can go straight toward changing the action. To get someone to vote, you can drive him to the polls and hope for the best. To get a cat to stop jumping up on the counter, you can catch him and place him gently on the floor over and over again. Hey, we didn't say persuasion was always easy. But none of these three goals, mood, mind, and action, has to do with winning. None of these goals has you getting distracted with scoring points or pointing out logical fallacies or making your opponent look like an idiot. Instead, you focus on your target. Again, mood, mind, or action. And you aim everything at it. You're arguing like a predator. Okay, so you know how to set your goal. You're not going to win an argument on points. You're not going to try to pin your opponent down, unless you're play fighting and your claws are retracted. Before you get to the actual arguing part, you need another predator skill: timing. The secret of persuasion is just like the secret of comedy. It's timing, and timing in persuasion takes an extra amount of patience. After setting your goal, effective persuasion depends on waiting for the right moment. Catch the bald guy. In rhetoric, this art of waiting for the perfect moment is called kairos. Someone skilled at kairos, such as a cat, not only knows how to wait, she also knows exactly the right moment to act, to seize the occasion, letting no temporary lap go unsat upon and no bug unchased. Much of persuasion depends on kairos. Someone who is not ready to be persuaded won't be ready until her mood changes. For instance, never ask someone to cook you dinner while he is cleaning a toilet. Only cats and dogs can keep their appetite around toilets. Never ask a favor when someone is angry, and never, ever, under any circumstances, say, "Calm down." That just ruins every occasion. Practice timing in any office meeting by speaking last. Wait until people want to hear from you. When you're in a one-on-one argument, nod your head and say something like, "This is what I'm hearing from you." Repeat those words, then say what you like about what you've heard. Only then show where you disagree. In the dinner table political argument, the sister should try to look like a neutral party until the brother finally shuts up. If he shows no signs of quitting, she should interrupt by saying, "That makes a lot of sense, but let's be sure I understand you." Then, when she's ready, she states the other side. By the way, we're talking about the timing of human arguments here. When arguing with a cat, don't wait for the cat to finish talking. She is probably smart enough not to talk at all. With a cat argument, wait until the cat wants something, then try to bargain. This works with kids as well. The three greatest words in argument. Wait for it. Hang back until you're ready, or your audience is ready, or your opponent has talked himself out, or your lover is in the mood, or your cat needs something. The Romans thought the art of occasion to be so important, they created a god called Ocasio. That's where we get the word occasion from. Young and fleet with the body of a runner, Ocasio had a hair loss problem. While he had curly locks over his brow, he was bald as an olive at the back. That's because an opportunity ages fast. You have to grab the occasion by the hair before it passes, just as you would with a mouse. But before you pounce, you must stalk. The wiggle and bob. Your average adult human is incompetent when it comes to play. This is terribly frustrating to your average cat. The human wastes time making his mostly inedible dinner and talking about work before finally taking out the string with a mouse on the end. Excellent! The cat happily chases the mouse, pounces on it, bats it around, and follows it all over the place for a good 5 minutes. This is the warm-up. Humans, please listen. The chasing part is just the warm-up. Then comes the serious play, settling down to watch the mouse, and what does the human do? He puts the mouse away! People, watching a toy is playing. It's the best part. A cat who watches a toy isn't bored or tired. She has just entered the entertaining second round, like the second half of that uncat-like sport of football. An intelligent, cooperative human will keep pulling the string around and around. After a good long period of watching, the cat will gather her back legs and wiggle her butt and bob her head, getting a good bead on the prey. Does she necessarily pounce? No. The wiggle and bob are sufficient unto themselves. They are totally fun in their own right, and part of the experience of being a healthy predator. To a cat, stalking is half the pounce. Let us repeat, stalking is half the pounce. Maybe more than half. No one really knows since cats don't bother to explain the process. The point is, nearly every cat understands the power and delight of kairos, of choosing just the right occasion to pounce. Being a predator is all about kairos. If cats had spent their first million years of evolution charging around after prey like dogs, cats would have had to form packs like dogs. This would have been a whole lot of bother and would have forced cats to hang out with other cats, some of whom might not be all that likable. Instead, early on, the wise cats developed the fine art of waiting. They learned to read the patterns of rodents and birds, to let the food come to them. A little bit of sneaking, along with a well-prepared pounce, completes the job. Boom, done. Mission accomplished with a minimum of inefficient and sometimes embarrassing running. Now, go take a nap. Await your chance. Humans have a long way to catch up with this kind of wisdom. Monks and yogis spend decades just learning how to sit still, and even then they don't catch anything worth eating, or win many arguments for that matter. What does waiting have to do with argument? A lot. To argue like a predator, settle down, watch and listen. Pay attention to your prey, that is, your opponent. Then gather your thoughts, wiggle your mind, and gain a good perspective on the issue. When you're ready, pounce. Suppose you are in the meeting where people are trying to choose a theme for the annual office party. People are fighting over one woman's proposal for a world peace theme. Someone else's proposes an ironic 80s theme with mullets. This produces much eye rolling. You are sorely tempted to jump in, shout down the lame ideas, and propose your own awesome concept of a single color theme, red. No word, no stupid slogan, just red. Though you'd be willing to settle for purple, but you don't say anything. You listen and you wait until the time is ripe. The other participants talk themselves out and there's a pause. Time to pounce. You, red. Everybody else, what? You, red. Just red. The color, no words. You have a shot, a real shot at getting your way. In the cat world, this is called hunting. To a cat, hunting means waiting. The pounce just tops it off. The real skill lies in being patient. Use the right medium. With humans, kairos has dimensions beyond just timing. It's also the art of the occasion, which includes place or medium as well as time. The bedroom is a very different place, persuasion-wise, from the kitchen. Bedtime is different from mealtime. Emails, tweets, whispers in the ear, Morse code, and skywriting are different media. Each place and medium affects the persuasion. When you want to persuade someone, choose the right occasion. Cats know this. The point is not just to wait for the right moment to pounce. Cat and mouse both have to be in the right place. Suppose a man wants to take a woman on a date. He could offer to pick her up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but this is probably bad timing, unless his and her idea of a good time is pre-dawn fishing. Instead, he offers to pick her up at 7 o'clock in the evening. Better timing. Also, a Friday night might work better than a Monday night, but he should check on that as well. Okay, the man has the date sorted timing-wise, so he takes her to his favorite bar where all his drinking buddies hang out. Possibly this is a good occasion, but for a first date, not so much. So instead, he takes her to a quiet restaurant. Afterward, he plans a stroll by moonlight beside a nearby lake. She might like that, but even if that's the sort of thing she might do on a first date, the man probably shouldn't propose it until well into dinner, when she's really into him and he has learned that she likes walking and that her shoes aren't killing her. When the time is perfectly right, he proposes the walk. That's kairos, the wait and the pounce, rhetorically speaking. Then there's medium. A text message works differently from a Pinterest post. A serenade beneath a window will have a different effect from a proposal with a bullhorn. Guys can be real boneheads when it comes to this kind of kairos. We have a friend who planned to propose marriage to his girlfriend by taking her rock climbing. He was going to place the ring on a tiny ledge near the top of the route. Imagine, sweaty and terrified, 40 feet above her boyfriend who's holding the rope, she places her shaking hand on a rock, knocks something loose from the ledge, and falls. He tightens his grip on the rope, and while she's swinging with her eyes tightly shut, he watches the ring tumble into the distance, and in despair he shouts, "Will you marry me?" Fortunately, we talked him out of this plan. He proposed over dinner, and she said yes. Less dramatic, more effective, the right occasion. Match media to senses. Different media emphasize different aspects of persuasion. A picture is best for conveying an impression of your character. A cat sitting in the window with perfect posture does the same thing. Type does the best job of logical argument. Words that you can see on a page or screen are great for organized thinking. Very few cats can write things down, except for paw prints on the stove. But then, cats rarely use logical argument. While type is great for logic, it's not so good for getting someone to like and trust you. It's also bad for conveying emotion. Humor in a text or email, for instance, rarely goes down well. It may have seemed hilarious when you wrote it, but the readers can't see you make an ironic face. Cats also don't make ironic faces, which is why their sense of humor tends to go underappreciated. The sound of your voice can make people respect you, or not. An audience tends to trust a deeper voice that does not soar too much between high and low notes. This does not mean a woman has to talk bass. Instead, try to talk at a near monotone with pauses for emphasis.
Watch George Clooney movies for the perfect monotone. A high voice, on the other hand, can make people want to help you. We instinctively think, baby. Cats already know this. When a cat wants food, he uses baby talk, throwing out an adorable high mew. A cat defending his turf, on the other hand, talks deep and low, like George Clooney. The best senses for emotion are touch, taste, and smell. A cat will tell you that taste and smell also work great for building relationships, and he's probably right. To propose marriage, you really should be there next to the person. Don't send a text or hire a dance troupe to do the job. Don't make a video. Kiss, or if you prefer, bite gently on the back of the neck. Do some mutual grooming. Cat wisdom. The listening cat catches the mouse. The early bird can have its worm. A patient, quiet cat eats better.